Good morning, British literature students. I apologize in advance for the video quality right here. Feel free to adjust the playback speed whenever you're watching a video. I feel like in the morning I talk very slowly, but maybe not too small. It's too slowly. I'll leave that up to you. One of the reasons I talk slowly is if I try to talk fast, I mispronounce words. So basically, I want to just give you guys a short summary of what you're supposed to read on Thursday through today. Please make sure that you have that letters in chapter 1 assignment completed. Um, basically, like I told you, this is a frame story, a story within a story. It begins with a man named Walton who's writing letters to his sister talking about his journeys of exploration. He is a man of science who wants to travel from Russia to the other side of the globe by going over the North Pole, basically. Hadn't been done at the point when this book was written. And so that is his dream and his desire to do that. And as the letters unfold, he finds himself in the North Pole being trapped by sheets of ice. It's a mix of ocean and sheets of ice. One night, he witnesses a very gigantic man. It looks like a man, but just oversized, on a dog sled trying to get away, being chased by somebody or something. Another morning, he wakes up and there's a dog sled and a normal sized man being brought onto the ship. Okay, rescued. The dog sled is on a sheet of ice next to the boat. They're pulling him onto the ship. And basically, Walton, the guy writing the letters, gets to know this guy a little bit, can tell that he's really sad, has some just kind of emotional issues. In your PDF, not the actual page of the PDF, but the book, you'll notice that each sheet has 2 pages of the book that were photocopied. On page 9 in his letter, it's the very last letter that he writes. He talks about August 13th, 17, whatever the year is. And he says that he basically tells this new guest on their ship, the guy who came off the dog sled, he says, "A few days ago, I told this man about my trip to the pole. He listened very closely. I must have gotten carried away talking about my adventure. In no time, I told him about my life's dream. I told him how important this trip was to me. I told him that I had to go on even if it cost my life and the lives of some of my men. I said to him, 'What is the life of a few men when so much can be gained by science?'" So that's Walton's attitude. What is the life of a few men when so much can be gained by science? He's saying it's worth the sacrifice of some people dying. As I said this, an awful look of sadness came over his face. He covered his face with his hands. He let out a terrible cry. I didn't say anything. Then at last he spoke. "Oh, poor man," he cried. "Do you share the same madness I have? Are you so far gone that you don't care about human life anymore? If you knew my story, you'd never feel the same way again." Okay, so that creates some suspense. Like, well, what is it about your story? How would your story make Walton feel differently? And he's going to tell the story. And this is where the frame story thing. This is where it goes from being Walton's story to this new guest on the ship who'd been brought off the dog sled. We're going to find out at the very beginning, very first sentence of chapter 1. His name is Victor Frankenstein. Okay, and he is going to tell his story. You guys read chapter 1, and we're supposed to make some observations about him. Basic things that I want you to take away from that chapter is that he had a kind of adopted sister. He said was more like a cousin, I guess, who really loved art and beauty. He had a friend named Henry who really loved literature and imagination, like King Arthur. They would act out the stories when they were a kid. But Victor himself was very enamored, um, with science. Spent all of his time reading books and wanting to know how things worked, not really caring about the imagination and the beauty, but just the how things work. At the very end of the chapter, we get some foreshadowing that goes along with kind of what he said to Walton in the letter. He says, "I didn't know that my study of science would someday destroy my life and all that I loved." Okay. That creates some foreshadowing that there's going to be some really horrible things that happen to him because of his scientific pursuits. Remember, that is a theme of the Romantic literature: imagination and beauty and nature over science. Um, I'm going to have you guys today read chapters 2 through 7. And in your OneNote homework folder or an LMS, you'll just see an assignment that asks for a simple 1 sentence summary for each chapter. It doesn't have to summarize everything that happens, but it should be a sentence that captures some important things that happen. Okay. And that is what you have to do before Thursday. And yeah, we will have a short Zoom meeting on Thursday where we talk a little bit about these chapters and just some of the romantic literature themes. Remember that basically we have 3 classes left after this. We will use each day so that we can read all this little Frankenstein PDF so that you can kind of understand the story. And please just check your RenWeb, and if you have missing assignments that you've made up that need to be graded, please just make sure you've sent me an email with the specifics of what assignments they are. And if it's that I've done everything, you can email me. I've made up everything. Please check, okay? And be patient with me as I grade, because there's a lot of people turning in makeup work now as we get toward the end, okay? So please email me if you have any questions, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.